Gamification is an undeniable trend and tool being used in modern education. It can make the learning process a lot more fun and better motivate students of all ages. However, in a world flooded with information from all angles, individual elements of the game may not be enough to attract and keep people's attention. So what if we go one step further? Instead of a gamified training, why not an actual game? One that students can play on the go, gaining knowledge with all the fun and minimal effort. It sounds like a good idea, but how can one implement it in practice? Is it even possible to make a game that will achieve that balance between entertainment and outcome? Today, we'll take a virtual trip to find this out. We'll talk to people who have gone through all stages of the game development process and released a mobile cybersecurity quest. Hi, Denis.
Oh, hey, what's up?
I wonder, what is this game that everyone is talking about?
Everyone is talking about our newest mobile quest, which is called Disconnected. This is the game not about cybersecurity. This is the game about big choices, big goals, and of course, big love. Let me ask you a question. Are you ready for a question? Okay, yeah. So, what do you think? What is the main drawback of cybersecurity training nowadays? Why it's not that effective?
It's boring.
Yeah, it's boring, but what else? I mean, like, is it even if it's not boring?
It's hard to memorize all the rules.
And okay, so remember, you have to memorize 10 things, and you did memorize 10 things. Well, is it enough?
Well, sometimes it's not clear how to behave in a real life situation.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That is the point. It's not about memorizing those rules, because it's not that hard to memorize how to spot a phishing mail. It's not that hard to memorize how to make a strong password, right? It's hard to maintain this behavior in your daily practices. Like, let me give you an example, okay? So, for example, you are taught that it is forbidden to transfer some confidential documents via an insecure channel. Imagine a situation, then your colleague, your friend, he is in turmoil and he asks you to send those documents to him immediately, and for some reason you are not able to use VPN. So will you do it? And that is the question we want to ask with our game. So we want to put the user, the learner, into the situation then when he or she have to make a choice. So it's about solving dilemmas. Although it's not always super clear, where and how to behave, and that's the very thing we want to check with our game.
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it is. And actually, I'd like to encourage you to try it yourself, because it's fun to talk about it, but it's way better to try it.
Sure, I'll do that. Thank you so much. Hi there.
Oh, hi. Actually, I didn't expect you for today. What are you doing here?
Well, I came to learn about the Disconnected. Denise told me that you know everything about this game and can speak about it.
So it's true, but actually I think that we're talking about the game is more boring than playing. Maybe you just try it? Disconnected is a mobile game in a visual novel style. The main goal is to successfully complete an important project for your character. After downloading the game from App or Google Store, you will choose the character you want to play. The narrator will walk you through the plot and introduce you to the other characters in the game. You will be warned that decisions you make during the game will affect the direction of character story and relationships. The game begins with a sneak peek into the future. Later, you will find out why this is important. But for now, your character rolls back 24 hours to the present. The first scene takes place in the morning, when you wake up in your apartment. As the game moves into the future, everything around turns futuristic, including your profession. You work for one of the most innovative companies in the world. Currently, you are developing a product that aims to revolutionize the implantation industry and make it scalable and affordable. To tomorrow is your main presentation, and you need to do your best for it to be a success. Right from the beginning, you face a cybersecurity dilemma. Do you launch a system update for your cell phone or skip it? This is up to you, but you need to consider how insignificant decision will affect your main goal during the game. Sasha is the love of your life, but you too go through a difficult period in your relationships because of your busy schedule. You must try to improve this aspect of your life. Throughout the game, you will use mobile devices and apps, the same as we do in real life. For example, here is what a message from your colleague looks like. This is Max. He is in rush and wants you to download an important document via an insecure connection. Max has always been absent-minded, but that is forgivable because he is your friend. In the second stint, he loses the USB driver. Of course, you need to inform your cybersecurity team, but Max could be fired as a result. What are you gonna do? How can you finish your project without Max? But what will happen if the USB driver is stolen, not lost, and you don't inform security?
Thank you so much for this demo.
So, and what do you think about it?
I think the game really looks amazing and it's so in-depth. I wonder if you managed to create all this in-house?
Oh no, thanks God, no. You know, we could find the guys, developers, who said, oh my God, this project is so hard and interesting, and it looked like a mission impossible to complete. And they said, we in. But if you want to talk about some details, you have to talk to the CEO of Codraptors, our developers. It's the best way.
Okay, thank you for this advice.
See ya.
Hi, Fun.
Hi, Anya.
I just played Disconnected, the game you created with Kaspersky. I just wanted to learn if any company can work with you to develop a mobile educational game.
Any company can work with us, but before they come to us, they have to define their own vision of the product. After this, we look at this vision together and define key priorities and look for potential challenges and difficulties that can arise during the development process. Generally speaking, there are two cases in our industry. First case is when you're developing product from the scratch. This is the best case because you have a possibility to plan everything ahead and make sure the product development will go smoothly. And there is a second case when the product already was in development for some time. In this case, not only planning matters, but deep analysis at first to understand pros and cons of already developed product and to ensure they will not challenge the future development. The second case sounds harder, but it's also very exciting because you have to play a role of brilliant detective to conduct deep analysis and investigation and solve all the mysteries before you do any future plans.
Sounds reasonable. And when you already had a vision, what the development process of the game consists of?
This is a very interesting topic, and I think our producer Alexei can give you broad perspective on this question. You can ask him.
Hi, Alexei. Can you please talk me through all the stages of game development?
Of course. There are three main stages in the process of the game development. First one is planning, second one you could say development itself, and the third one is support. Together we define the scope in which we will continue our work further, be it writing design or technical documentation for the developing new project or existing ones. On the second stage, when all the design details are fleshed out, we start the actual development. In the case of an already existing project, we try to do the refactoring, optimizing the game contents to better suit our needs and the end game quality. Using Agile, we change the incremental value of the project. Passing through iterations, the games become better and better in the span of weeks, not years of development. After the main work is done and the game, or any other project really, is ready to be shipped, we provide the required support. We need to make sure that the product is stable on the required devices and the OS versions on the market. Never ignoring the users and the customers' feedback is the key to successive development. Of course, in the world of game development, the work is never really done, since there are always new features to add or done better. It's like an art, really.
Yes, it's a real art. Thank you for all this information. I'll try to memorize it.
Thank you for asking.
I've learned a lot about the game dev process. However, the developer mentioned that sometimes it's not that easy. What did he actually mean?
There is such a book. It is called Blood, Sweat and Pixels. It's about the long, hard road, not to hell, but to creating a beautiful game. And the main idea in this book is that it's no matter which game you are creating, either like some small indie game like Shovel Knight or some very epic blockbuster like Mass Effect or Witcher or Cyberpunk, all of them are facing with the very same problems. And I love to read this book because we faced with the very same problems that book describes. So the first one, it's about the deadlines. So it's like with Diablo 3, as you know, it was released like almost 2 years behind the schedule. Of course, it's not that big with our own game, but still we released it almost a year behind the schedule. And this is a very unusual situation for any products we release. And that's because it is a game. The initial concept you're coming up with and what you get at the end, it's two totally different games. The main difference between creating, for example, an online training course and creating a game is that it is like more or less understandable how to create a good educational content. So like you can do something to add something here, remove something there, but in the end it's like a very clear process. While developing a game, you want to create the best game in the world, even if it's a small one. It's about your ambitions and your limitations, whether it's resources, your creativeness, your providers of some services, and so on and so forth. Our game initially, it was like 4 times bigger than it was finally released because we wanted to add a lot of different modules in there, a lot of emulated contents like browsers, like mobile applications, like messengers, like even social networks. And at the end, it was really hard to integrate them all in a single product, in a single build. And even better, during this process, we had to switch the developer of this game because the ones we started with, it turned out right in the middle of the process that they are not able to complete it. When you are facing with the necessity to release the game, you promised, because everybody waiting for it, everybody's agitated, so we have like a PR release ready, and you say, okay, so maybe we should postpone it for half a year or maybe more because we want to restart it once again. It's well, of course, it's a good thing that everyone came up were very understanding. Okay, we understand that it is a hard process and all, but again, this very thing, it's not acceptable for any other product Kaspersky are releasing except the video game, because this is how it works, because this is art to some extent. Because you cannot afford to release something which you think it's not good enough. And this is what we are coming with. This is about the build itself. It's about the technical part. So our game, it wasn't playable because all these modules we decided to introduce in this game, they were not working together, and we came with blockers and all these things. But the second problem, so we switched the developer. We had those beautiful guys from CodeRaptor. They managed to develop a build which was stable, which was playable, so you can basically play it till the end. But we faced with another problem. We looked at this whole game. We understood that backstory it's not good enough. It's not working because the motivation of main characters is strange. The backstory is not convincing. The whole the action is not that engaging because we don't want to be associated with those characters. We are they are a bunch of idiots actually who are making very strange actions and things like that. So we decided to rewrite the whole story. And it was like almost 2 months left before the deadline, before the deadline. I mean, like, we cannot postpone it further. So, and we decided, like 3 of us, me, Oleg, Alexander Lunyov, and Nadezhda Lina, decided just to become writers and to create our own story from almost from scratch. And the game you see now, it's very different from what it was like two months before the release. And our plans, like with this game, our plans is to develop new DLCs, so-called add-ons, to introduce new stories, which will explain some backstories of the main characters. So to create, in order for them to be live characters, with their own problems, motivations, and so forth. But that's what we're gonna do throughout this year.
You mentioned some problems with characters. What did you have to do with them? Did you rewrite the whole character?
Yeah, so here's the interesting story. We had this main character. She's called Sasha. She is the partner of our main character, our protagonist. We really give it a lot of discussion how she should look like, whether her attire is appropriate or not appropriate for certain audiences. We changed it quite a few times, like the concept ideas which we created initially and which we ended up with. We faced with the problem, but that our hero, our protagonist, he is not a nice person. Because the decisions he makes with the help of player, motivations he has, it's like all of this creates a very unattractive character. So I was the one that said, like, I don't want to be him because he's I don't know, you can maybe do like beep, but he's a beep, like beep. And it's about the way he speaks, the way he makes the decisions, the way he chooses to go there or here. So in order not to be the complete beep, so we tried to rewrite the whole story to make at least somebody want to associate himself or herself with this character. I hope we managed to do so. It was hard to foresee it, at the beginning, because only when it all like the story was completed and we lived through the whole story from the beginning to the end, then we understood, okay, it's not working. Another example is that in this game you have an antagonist. An antagonist, it's kind of an evil, vile corporation which wants to dominate the world, buying off all the startups producing implants. So this is like the main conflict in the game. You are trying to develop an implant for everyone, and then trying to buy off this company you're working for to use those implants for their evil purposes. And we give it a lot of thought to understand which those evil purposes might be, because earning money, it's not an evil purpose, especially when you're talking about B2B product. During one of our brainstorming sessions, I actually asked the question, so guys, why do you think that buying this small startup where our hero is working, why it's a bad thing? So what's so vile, what's so evil about this corporation? Finally, we came up with this idea that this corporation, it doesn't want to improve the mankind, to save the mankind, but instead it wants to earn more and more money by providing them through these implants with a lot of advertisement nobody needs, and to urge them to buy stuff they don't want to. So this is a very understandable concept, but again, it wasn't there till the very last moments, I would say. And now, well, what we have now is that we have like a very clear motivation. Okay, I don't want these guys to buy this company, so I will try to work hard throughout the game and to solve these cybersecurity cases in order not to let them dominate the world.
Thank you so much for these insights. Now I really understand why the game dev is a really hard process. And by the way, congratulations on your new release.
Thank you.